All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Evans. I am an mechanical aerospace engineer at NASA Goddard. Um, and Internship applications are now being accepted on intern.nasa.gov. Um, and I decided to do a little video since I've been an intern myself and since I've been a mentor to interns over the past couple of years. I was decided to put it together kind of an informational video about what my internship was like, why you might want to become an intern for NASA, and a couple of like tips for applying to an internship. Now I've put a disclaimer in the description, but I also wanted to put a disclaimer here. I'm doing this in my spare time. I don't work at the internship office. Um, my advice is based off of personal experience, and it's not meant to like guarantee you an internship. If you don't get one, I'm sorry. But let me tell you first about my own internship experience with NASA Goddard and NASA Langley. In 2008, I was in undergrad and I got an internship at NASA Langley. I was placed through the Space Grant Program, which I will tell you more about in the tips section. I was placed in an engineering position that was computer related, like computer programming related, which I spent 10 weeks trying to learn Fortran and converting it to C++, which I had learned in college. And it was interesting, but it was not what I really wanted to do. Um, and so the next internship that I got, now that I've kind of like gotten my foot in the door as far as internships at NASA, was at NASA Goddard. And I interned with the heliophysics department. That's the scientists who study the sun and how it interacts with the Earth's magnetosphere. And I was a mechanical engineering intern in that department. We were working on a sounding rocket mission, and I was building, and testing one of the cameras for the sounding rocket. We were studying northern lights, the aurora. After that first internship, I really liked it. It was design engineering, and so I kind of like through internships found out that I really liked design engineering, which is one advantage of doing internships. You can kind of figure out what parts you like and what parts you don't like. I got an internship again the next year, and then I I graduated from undergrad around this time, and decided to go into what was then Pathways. Um, I should know what that turned into, but it's basically the co-op program where you are kind of like an intern, but you are placed as an employee so that it's easier to convert you over to a full-time employee if you do decide to work at NASA. So while I was in grad school, I went through that program, and that was with the mechanical components and hardware branch, which was better suited for where I would eventually be going. And I was still working with heliophysicists, still working on those same teams, but I was in a branch that had mechanical engineers in it for the most part. So yeah, it was really fun. Got to work on actual NASA projects. That will kind of segue into why you might want to be an intern. Uh, in I can't speak for other internships because I've only ever had NASA internships, but one of the advantages of interning at any company or any institution is that you get hands-on experience. So, for example, in my classes, I had never really learned about torque values and like what you should be torquing different bolts to. I hadn't learned about testing, vibration testing, which is a big part of what we do here at Goddard, doing, vibration and thermal testing on the hardware to make sure that it can go into space without breaking. And I got to do my first vibration test when I was an intern, helping out with that and helping set everything up and, watching the vibration test. So that was something that I would never have experienced in undergrad. Some people might, if you're part of a class that does testing, but it was not a class that I had had. And so there's opportunities that you can get through internships, summer internships, um, that you wouldn't be able to get out of a class, for example. Another thing is that you can make connections with people who might potentially employ you, or might potentially write you letters of recommendation for future internships or future jobs when you graduate. So it's very useful to make those kinds of connections and to have people who can say, yes, they worked for me, they did a great job, I highly recommend them for your company. So even if you don't end up working for NASA, I mean, everyone, we hope you do, but if you don't end up working for NASA, then it's very valuable. Like, we do, past mentors often write letters of recommendation for students to go and get jobs at other places. Another thing is that when you're an intern in the NASA internship program, they have tours of the facilities because every NASA center is unique. You might get tours of, for example, our vibration testing labs, or the thermal vacuum chamber where the Hubble was tested, or the robotics lab. We have a robotics lab on center where they have these like huge robotic arms that they use to model refueling, and they have student tours of that during the summer. You also get to go to a lot of interesting talks. One of the highlights at NASA Goddard is usually the talk by our Nobel Prize winning John Mather, who works here at Goddard in the astrophysics department. So in the summer, there's also a lot of talks from the earth sciences and the astrophysics and heliophysics and some planetary science. There's a little bit of planetary science here. Most of that's out of JPL. But when I was at Langley, we went on tours of all the wind tunnels. They have a ton of wind tunnels there. We got to go on tours of the transonic facility. I got to go peek inside the transonic facility, which is usually filled with liquid nitrogen sprayed out to make it really cold so that they can get to higher speeds, or higher Mach numbers, sorry, inside of the wind tunnel. So it's really cool, and all that. Now this year, that part of it is going to be a little bit different because unfortunately we can't have interns on center because of the pandemic. So even though you'll get virtual tours and you'll get virtual talks and all of that, you will be working from home or from school, wherever you are, just for the 2021 summer. I don't know if it's planned for the fall. I don't know about that, but I know for the summer interns for 2021, you will be getting a computer shipped to you and you'll be working from home. That doesn't mean that it's any less useful. It's a little sad that you don't get to see stuff in person. I wish you could. If you come back for another internship, you can definitely see it then. But it's just it's a special situation this summer, and last summer it was the same way. So usually you're here for 10 weeks. It depends on the program. Some programs are 12 weeks, some programs are 8 weeks, a little shorter. But if you go through the internships.nasa.gov website, I think most of those are 10 weeks. If you go through your space grant, it might be a little bit different. If you go through, I know I had an intern who was from, I think, the Navy, and was on a rotation of 6-week rotation. So he was only there for 6 weeks. So there's a couple different options that might be longer or shorter, but usually all of my internships were 10 weeks long. I did mention the Space Grant Consortium. So if you have, everyone does have access. So every state has access to a representative from what's called their Space Grant Consortium, usually based out of one of the big colleges, land grant universities in the state. And they will help you find internships. First of all, they're a great resource for helping you review your resume and all of that. But they're also able to give you funding for placement in a NASA program. And the reason why this is important is because on the mentor side of things, I learned that a project has to have funding for a student intern. And so if you don't apply for funding in time, like say you're a mentor and like, you know, you have a bazillion things going on and you forgot to apply for funding for an intern, that cuts down on your chances of getting an intern for the summer. If your project is small, sometimes we have very small research and development projects that can't afford funding an intern for the summer, or they didn't apply for it when they applied for their funding in the first place. So if you're applying through Space Grant, that means that Space Grant is funding your internship. So the mentor basically gets an intern for free, which is a big deal. And you can get placed even if the project didn't have funding. And usually you're placed at the end. So you may not get the project that you want. Like I was placed through Space Grant the first time. So I got an internship where I was doing computer programming, which, you know, I wasn't really all that interested in, but I took it because it was an internship and it was a foot in the door. So, and I did learn a lot while I was there. I'm not saying that I didn't, but also, you know, it's not what I do on a daily basis. So that's an important thing. If you can get in through Space Grant, that's a help. They don't have an infinite number of positions that they can fund, but you can ask about it and see if they have an opportunity for you to apply that way. So I wanted to kind of go through what you'll need. Again, this is just based on personal experience from being an intern and being a mentor. I'm not telling you how to apply. Please don't like a lie because I told you one thing works and the other thing doesn't. Like, yeah, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but this is what I have kind of experienced through the years. So you're going to have to get an electronic transcript from your school. And this part it says on internship.nasa.gov. So I kind of pull it from there. You need a transcript from your school. You need the addresses of your academic institutions. I apologize. You'll also need contact information for someone who can write you a letter of recommendation. Now, when you do this, please ask the person ahead of time, like 2 weeks ahead of time before you're going to need it for that letter of recommendation. Ask if they can write it for you. I've written tons of letters of recommendation for my prior interns. It really helps because, you know, I have to schedule it into my normal work day usually. It really helps if they can give me like 2 weeks is great. If it's a week, that's great. But if it's only a day or two ahead of time, it's like really, it's too late. I mean, you can, but I would rather it be a week or two early before they're like, I need it right now. So ask them beforehand, but write down who your contact is that they can email for asking for a letter of recommendation for you. And then also you need an electronic copy of your resume. On your resume, I would recommend that you make it a page or two. I mean, I know that's like general recommendations, but I don't think that interns realize the sheer number of applications that we get for one position. When you go on the site, you can apply for multiple positions. I think it's like you can select maybe 5. I kind of forget, but you can select multiple positions and have one application for all of those positions. So students will select all 5, of course. I would, you know, I did too when I was an intern, but all of the mentors who have put up an application or an advertisement for wanting an intern, they get like hundreds of applications. I think one time I got like 300 applications for a single position. So anything you can do to make it easier on me is great. Put in keywords. There's a keyword search. Like put in some keywords that have to do with my advertisement. I don't have one this year. That's why I'm doing this video. I'm trying to help out since I'm not mentoring in 2021. But you know, if I had put up an ad and it had some keywords in there, like put those in your applications because I can search for that. Um, if you, um, I don't know, if you have something that you really want to point out, like put it in multiple places. So that it catches the mentor's eye when they're going through applications. But yeah, I mean, you really have to narrow it down any way you can because there's 300 to go through. I try to go through every single one, but at some point, I'm just kind of clicking through, going 5 seconds. No, okay. Next one. No, okay. Maybe put it in the maybe pile, and I narrow it down to like 50, and then I narrow it down to five. you know, so it's quite a process. It's a lengthy process, and your mentor is going to get tired of looking at applications. So if you get selected, you're very lucky, and congratulations. um, and sometimes it has nothing to do with anything that you have control over. Sometimes it's they were looking for someone who had a specific thing, like if I don't know, if they're working on robotic helicopters, and someone just happens to have worked on robotic helicopters in a club that they were in. They're gonna pick that one, maybe over someone else just because like that's the exact experience that they were looking for. Things that you can't, you put it in and you hope, but you can't really control it. But things you can control. So one thing I definitely have looked for in the past is if they filled out every section. Sometimes students would skip sections, like there's different little mini essays. I don't know how it's set up this year, but in past years it's been like little mini essays that you have to write. And some students would just put like one word or like doesn't apply. Do not put that. That's my advice. You don't have to take it, but um, I would go through and just be like, they didn't follow directions. Or, don't, I would search through and I would see things that didn't really, they weren't, they weren't like professionally written. So they would write it like they were writing an email to a friend. And it didn't really come across as like I'm applying for a job. It came across as like, let me tell you what I did with my summer, cousin Jimmy. So definitely have someone proofread it. Definitely have someone kind of check it for professionalism and submit the best thing that you got. You know, um, the first time that I applied, I had to rewrite before I put it in the electronic version to send. I wrote up a draft and I had someone review it, and they said, you don't sound confident at all. I said, of course I'm not. I'm applying to NASA. And so I had written it like, please accept me. I'm not sure if I'm good enough, but please accept me. And the person who was reviewing was like, no, 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 no. Write it like you can get the job. And I did. And it must have done something because I applied and I got a position. So write it like you are confident in what you have. Even if you think that, the other person has way more, they've been flying robotic helicopters for years and you've only flown one in your backyard once or twice, and it was, or you built something for robotics academy or something like that during the summer, and you're not sure if it directly applies to this position, but like it's something engineering that you could do, put it down. Definitely include any extracurriculars that you've done, even if it's like leadership position type stuff or public speaking or anything like that. Extracurriculars let me know that you're interested in other things. um, let's see, what other things do I have? Oh, be honest with your skills. We know that you're in undergrad or you're in grad school and you haven't been working at NASA for 10 years. Maybe your program uses one CAD program and you've only used it a little bit for class, and our project uses a different CAD program and we've been using it forever. It's okay. Like, we know as mentors that part of our job is going to be teaching you how to use our tools. That's fine. Put down whatever skills you have, kind of make an honest assessment of your own skills, and we'll fill in the gaps. Yeah. I think I've covered it pretty much. Yes. go ahead and apply. The application process closes on March 5th. Try and get it in a little bit before that, just in case you have any kind of technical difficulties or something, getting it to upload. And uh, the mentors will start looking at the applications I guess, within the next month or two. And you should hear back. When did I hear back? I want to say it was May, but I'm not exactly. It might be the end of April. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, you should know around the same time that you're, getting feedback from all the other internships you applied for, if you applied to other internships. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck. And if you have any questions, you can comment on the YouTube video. I can't guarantee that I can answer them all, but yeah, good luck, and I hope to see you in an internship.